The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to today's Marketing Clinic with your host, James McDonald.
Well, thank you very much, Andrew, and I'd like to start by welcoming our participants to our ad clinic session here today. I want to thank everybody that uploaded ads, and hopefully we'll get a chance to look at all of them here this morning. I also want to remind everybody that of two events coming up. Of course, there are a lot of you that are registered for the Platinum event in San Francisco that starts a week today. So I'm super excited to see you. We'll be up there, of course. We're doing our super conference there. So we'll get a chance to say hi to everybody who's participating. And then later on, the following week on the 19th of November is our boot camp in Huntington Beach. So we're really excited to see all of our West Coast members in Huntington Beach for the day on the 19th. That's an awesome day. Make sure you've made your arrangements. We're getting more and more of you confirming every day. So we're going to have a really good turnout, a great group there. And those days are always a really, really good use of your time to work on your business. So we're really excited about that. Now, today is about lead generation. And we know that the benefit of the marketing system that Craig has given you is that we only utilize what is called direct response marketing. Direct response means that either our message elicits an immediate response or it does not. If it does elicit an immediate response, it means it always will. As long as we do it exactly the same way, it will always generate the same result. So if the result we get from it is 0, it will always generate 0 unless we change something. We change the message, we change the medium, we change something to try to get a different result. And if we change something and we successfully get a different result, then we hit the repeat button and we will always get that same result. That is a description of direct response marketing versus institutional style or image style marketing that is not meant to immediately elicit any kind of reaction. We're engaged in small business marketing that must immediately generate a return on investment. So I say that because some of the ads that we're looking at here today are generating an average response, and some of them aren't generating an average response. Some of them are generating no response at all. And I just want you to know, as a first rule of thumb, we know that if an ad generates 0, we can never ever run that ad that way again. It doesn't mean we can't run the ad again. It means we can't run it that way. We have to change something. One of the variables needs to be changed. That could be the message. It could be the call to action. It could be the landing page. It could be where we run the ad. It could be when we run the ad. There are all kinds of variables that we can change to try to get a different outcome. And once we hit on the variable that causes us to get a more favorable outcome, we can hit the repeat button, and we can do that over and over and over again. So let's start off by taking a look at a Facebook ad here that was uploaded to us. And I want to point out all of the elements that make a good Facebook ad, because there are many, many elements that go into this ad. And before we talk about who sees the ad and who we're targeting, let's talk about some of the rules of the ad first and foremost that we want to talk about. And the first thing in this ad I want you to notice is it's coming from San Gabriel Valley Real Estate, as opposed to from a realtor. And that's very important. Okay, so this is very, very good that this is coming from an information source. All right, San Gabriel Valley Real Estate. It's more informational than it is salesy, because it's coming from an information source as opposed to Joe Smith Realtor. Okay, that would cause prospects not to respond simply because of their fear of the salesperson. So that's very good. Now, the message here is find out what homes in your, find out what your San Gabriel home is worth online. Free quick online home evaluation. Go to sangabrielvalleyhomeinfo.com. And then it's got a picture of a map. But this ad is not offering properties for sale. So this is not saying here is a list of great deals that are available in the marketplace, and here's a map representative of all of those properties. This is saying find out what your San Gabriel home is worth online, and then it's showing a map of pins dropped in it. Now, if this offer was free list of San Gabriel Valley, great deals, distress sales, must sell properties, etc., then this map would be representative of those properties for sale. But rather, what's being offered here is a free online home evaluation. So you've got to look at this and say, okay, so tell me the correlation between the map and an online home evaluation. I'm seeing a disconnect here. I get that the map is a very good thing to use when you're trying to represent great deals available in the marketplace. That makes perfect sense. But if what we're offering is an online home evaluation, then we need to have a picture that's more representative of your property. Like for example, an indoor picture of the inside of a property, right? Something that's representative of inside of your home. But here's something else that I want you to consider as well. San Gabriel Valley is a very, very big area. So we're targeting a huge, massive area here that's made up of different towns and cities. Whereas maybe what you would find is if you were specific, then the message would be considered a lot better, a lot more accurate, a lot more beneficial to the prospect. You know, like for example, if one of the areas in San Gabriel Valley is called Ontario, so we ran this ad to focus specifically on Ontario home values, that would be different. And then maybe your offer would be, find out what homes in your Ontario neighborhood are selling for online. Then you could have a map of Ontario, just that little area, and that would be representative of homes that have sold in Ontario, the city of Ontario, the town of Ontario, whatever it is, in San Gabriel Valley. So two things are happening here. Okay, the first is this is a huge, massive area. All right, so it's not specific to anyone. It's very, very broad. Okay, that's number one. I think that we should be more specific. Number two, there is no correlation between find out what your home is worth online and the map. So I know we talk a lot about including a map, but be careful. We're saying if you're offering a list of properties, then a map is representative of those properties that you're offering in your ad. But you're not offering a list of properties here. You're offering an online home evaluation. So the picture that we include needs to be representative of an online home evaluation. So having an indoor picture of like a nice kitchen, for example, and over top of the picture of the kitchen, it says, find out what your home is worth online, or what's my home worth online. But to have a map is a huge disconnect in what you're offering. Okay, nowhere in your offer are you including properties, or are you mentioning anything to do with a map of the area. So that's sort of a disconnect. Now, what we also need to consider is this: because you're targeting a very broad area, what parameters are you using to determine what your $20 a day budget, who it reaches, what demographics does it reach? Because we're targeting a massive area here. Whereas if we put that same budget and we just targeted one area within San Gabriel Valley, Ontario, for example, Rancho Cucamonga, I know there's a whole bunch of areas in there that you could target. Point is, if we put that same budget and we targeted just that specific area, and we looked at all of the parameters as to who sees it, what age group, etc., I think you might find we'll get a lot more bang for your buck if we make those small, subtle changes to your Facebook ad. And if you look on the website, you'll see some good examples of this on the coaching site. The landing page is fine. Our problem is we just didn't generate enough traffic to the landing page. So we got 10 prospects to click on the ad, it looks like here, 10 link clicks. But 0 leads. But the problem is 10 is way too small of a sampling. Now, I would have liked to have seen 1 or 2 of those 10 request the information. But again, I feel like there's a disconnect, and that the information isn't specific enough to be truly beneficial to the prospect, because San Gabriel Valley is way too huge of an area. Okay, so let's keep on going here, Andrea. And by the way, Andrea, maybe you can explain to everybody that they can enter their questions, comments, anything like that into the chat.
Yes.
And you can sort of monitor that as we go along here. So anything that anyone wants to add or anything like that, we can talk about as we go along here.
We have a few comments already and a few questions. If you can type in the chat box now, just on your webinar control panel. We can also take some audio questions a little later. You must have a working mic or be on the telephone. Now, Mitzi says, when you say area, how many homes would you be talking? 20,000, 5,000?
The San Gabriel area? Oh, is that the question? How many homes are in the San Gabriel area that's being targeted here?
She's not specific. She just typed in, when you say area, how many homes would you be talking?
I'm suggesting that this area, San Gabriel Valley, we're probably talking about hundreds of thousands. So huge area, way too big. What we really want to do is we want to micro target. In other words, you want to target a particular town or city within that huge central area. Like, for example, if you were in California, you wouldn't run an ad that offers Orange County. Orange County is a huge place, and it's made up of a ton of bigger cities or big cities within Orange County. You've got Irvine, you've got Costa Mesa, you've got Anaheim, you've got all these places which alone have hundreds of thousands of people. So running an ad that says find out what your Orange County home is worth is generic. It's essentially generic. But if you can target that down and say, what is your Irvine home worth online? Then to somebody that lives in Irvine that the ad is being targeted to, and it's only being seen by those that live in Irvine, now all of a sudden that message is a lot more compelling to them. And Irvine might have, I don't know, 100,000 people, 80. That's still pretty damn big. But you got to understand, when we're targeting an entire area like San Gabriel Valley or Orange County, we're talking about likely 1 million people. So it's when it's too big, it isn't specific to anyone. And if it isn't specific to anyone, it's generic information. And generic information is never as compelling as specific information. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, going along with what you're saying, Mitzi types in, for example, Richmond Hill, 150,000 homes versus North Richvale, which is 5,000.
Right. So, but now what we've got to make sure is if we're going to run an ad on Facebook, it can't be seen by everybody that lives in Richmond Hill because it's only going to appeal to the ones that live in that particular area. Right. So you've got to be careful of that. And if somebody lives in that area on Facebook, they're just going to say Richmond Hill. So we're not really able to do that on Facebook. What you're going to do is you're going to target Richmond Hill. Here's what you're not going to do. You're not going to target all of York Region. So this is a good example, all right? I'm familiar with that area. I grew up there. So we have York Region, and there are probably 1 million people that live in York Region. But we're not going to run an ad that targets all of York Region because then it's not specific to anybody. But if I live in Richmond Hill, if I live in Markham, if I live in Aurora or Newmarket, any of those towns / cities within York Region, that's what I want to target in my ad. And if I run an ad on Facebook, people indicate where they live. So I can run the ad to say, I only want those that live in Richmond Hill to see this ad. Because the ad is going to say, find out what your Richmond Hill home is worth online. And I'm going to be specific to Richmond Hill. And I know that only those adults, not kids, only adults who are, say, over the age of 30 are going to see my ad, and only those adults over 30 that live in Richmond Hill are going to see this ad. Now you're going to get a lot more bang for your buck than if you had targeted all of York Region, which is way too big and too generic of an area.
And the final thing I'm going to, in the chat that I'm going to bring up before we move on is Keith, and he's just a little confused because he says multiple times we said to use a map, and now we're saying not to use a map. So maybe
I'm not saying not to use a map. I'm saying if you're offering a list of properties, then you should use a map. But you're not offering a list of properties here. It's like if you were selling a car, you wouldn't use a map with pins dropped in it. Right? Because it would make no sense. It would be nonsensical. If you're offering an online home evaluation, what does a map have to do with an online home evaluation? Nothing. But if you are offering a free list of area distress sales with addresses, map, locations, etc., would a map make sense? Answer, Of course it would, but you're not offering that in this ad. So please understand, we want to use a map when we're offering a list of properties. But if you're not offering a list of properties, then using a map would be nonsensical. It wouldn't make any sense. And sure enough, it doesn't. So please don't misunderstand. I hope that makes sense. Who was that asked that question, Andrea?
That was Keith. Keith Powers.
Okay, I want Keith to write in. I want him to write in, yes, now I understand. And I will not move on until he does. I need this to be very clear. I am not telling you not to use a map. I'm saying we need to understand when we use the map is when we offer lists of properties. The map is representative of those properties. All right, that makes sense, Andrea?
Yes. Yes.
I believe you.
And I also want to put in here too, everything is a test, and Craig he always enforces that, is something may work just because, James, you're saying it doesn't work. It may work in certain markets and not in others, and that's what we have to be careful of too.
Well, and that's why we say if you do something and it doesn't get a result, it never ever will unless we change something. So good marketers are simply good testers. So we have to constantly change parts of the ad, parts of where we run the ad, who sees the ad, etc., things like that. We're going to test and change, and we are going to hit on the formula that yields us the response we're looking for. As soon as we do, we're going to hit the repeat button, and we're going to do it over and over and over again. And what you'll find with direct response marketing is an ad that generates a response will always generate a response, because new people are seeing the ad every day, and they're going to react exactly the same way that those did yesterday. Okay, let's keep going here, Andrea.
Okay, ad number 2.
All right.
Can you see the
so here
sticky
is
note?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I can see the sticky note. This ad ran on page 3, which is good, and it ran up. It looks like it ran above the fold, maybe, yeah. And it says on page 3, ran 3 days, 2 hotline leads, 4 website leads, no appointments yet. Okay, well, you know that the ad is not capable of booking an appointment. All right, so all the ad is able to do is compel a prospect to take action. And then take action means, in this case, they either visited your website or called into your hotline. And that's all the ad is capable of doing. Once they get to the website and hotline, then those things take over in compelling the prospect to ask for the information. So we generated 6 leads here. Now, we can talk about what we're going to do in terms of follow-up and appointment booking, but let's just look at the ad itself, because I think as good as this ad is, I think we can make it even better. First of all, the headline reads, 7 things you must know before putting your Santa Clarita home up for sale. I want you to change that headline so that 2 things happen. Number 1, the headline is all the way over to the left margin. It is not centered. The reason being is that you'll find newspapers don't center their headlines. They justify it to the left margin. All right, so you can do that, and it will not cost you 1 nickel more to do that, but it will make it look more like an article. Okay, number 2, do not capitalize the first letter of every word. Only capitalize the first letter of the first word and of proper names like Santa Clarita. Other than that, you don't capitalize the first letter of every word, because that's what sales an ad would do, but that's not what an article would do, and this is a newsworthy article. So if you look above it, you can see something about putting your clocks back Sunday. You'll notice that clocks and back are not capitalized at all, because that's not what newspapers do. It doesn't cost any more to make this look like an article as it was written than an ad. An ad is all centered and all capitalized and all fancy, but the problem is if it looks like an ad, it will be glossed over. If it looks like an article, it's more likely that prospects will read the headline. And if they read the headline and they determine that they are motivated to sell, highly likely they're going to read this article. Now, here's something that I would like you to test. Okay. Now, although this is pretty good, you generated 6 leads from it, I think that we could generate more. I think we might be able to generate double the number of prospects from this ad. Number 1, we're going to change the headline. The other thing I'd like you to look into is seeing if we can get that border to be a little thinner. When you have a big, thick black border like that, it kind of isolates the ad and makes it look too much like advertising. If it's a laser thin border, it'll look a little better. So maybe they can, maybe they can't. But here's the thing I want you to try as well. I want you to try running the ad with only the hotline and then I want you to try to run the ad with only the website. And let's see what happens when you change those things. There will be a winner. If you run the ad with only the hotline and you generate 10 prospects, then that's the winner. If you run the ad with only the website and you generate 10 prospects, well, then that's the winner. But we need to test that and see which formula, which combination works. Now, our experience overwhelmingly has been that with these editorial style ads, using just the hotline is the best approach. And the reason that may be is because if the only option is to call into the hotline, then 100% of those that pick up the phone and call into the hotline are expecting to leave a message to order the report. Whereas if 25 prospects visited the website, 20 of them are expecting to read the report on the website. So when they get to the website and they can't read the report, they log off, they hit the X button, they back out, and we don't get them. Whereas had those 20 prospects called into the hotline, all 20 of them are expecting to leave a message to order the report. So I want you to test that, and I think you're going to find, like everybody else, or like most everybody else, you're going to end up generating more response. Here's the other thing I really like. This is a small little local newspaper, which they are the best options for running these kinds of ads. They're less expensive. They're more targeted to your geographical audience, and generally speaking, they're a whole lot cheaper than trying to run it in a larger daily newspaper. So I really like this effort, and as you can see here, this ad generated 6 leads. Okay, do we have any comments or questions about that, Andrea?
We do. Keith has noted the ad generator on the site, the member site, that has the first letter of every word capitalized. I want to comment on this. I want to comment on this too. Specifically for our editorial ads in the ad generator, I would consider those more of a template. We're not able to have every font and everything that's going to match every specific newspaper all over the world. So if James, you want to elaborate on that.
That's true, Andrea. And the other thing as well is you'll notice that the column width, okay, this is the same as the ad generator. So in other words, the ad generator is guessing that the column widths of your local newspaper are going to look like this, but as you can see, they really don't match up. In other words, this ad should really be, I think it should be in a 3-column style. But you'll notice the ad generator doesn't allow you to do that. You have to ask the paper to reformat the ad so that it's in a 3-column style. Okay, does that make sense, Andrea? Like if
Yes.
you look above, you'll see that the articles, they don't use big wide columns like the ad demonstrates here. They use much smaller, narrower columns. So this ad would actually look a lot more like editorial if it was in a 3-column style. But of course, the ad generator doesn't allow you to do that. So Andrea is right. Think of the ad generator as it pertains to editorial ads as kind of a starting point. In other words, you have all the content, you have the headlines, you can specify the area and things like that. But as you run these ads, you really do want to work with the newspaper to match how the newspaper runs their ads. So I shouldn't speak in absolutes. Some newspapers use a thicker column width, some don't. Some, justify their headlines to the left margin. Most of them do, in fact, but it's true, not all of them do. Same thing with capitalization. Most newspapers do not capitalize every first letter of every word. Most do not do that, but some do. The idea is this. You want to look at your paper that you are running your ad in, and you want to mimic what that newspaper does. And if you do that, you'll find that more prospects look at your ad, more consumers look at the article and read it. And if more read it, more will respond to it. And that's really the name of the game. That's all we're trying to do here.
And the only other comment we have is, and you may have mentioned this and I missed it while I was reading comments, the paid advertisement at the bottom. Some want to know, is it necessary? Do we have to do that? And I believe that's up to the paper.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the paper. I can't imagine that our member here said, I want you to please write paid advertisement. That's probably a requirement of the newspaper. But you know what? This just goes to show that even with paid advertisement, you'll still generate response from it. See, the reason that we're making these editorials look like articles, and the reason that they're written as newsworthy articles, is because it causes the prospect to see it as an article, and then they're much more likely to read it. But if they see it as an ad, they don't even give it a chance. They immediately turn the page. And so it's not like the prospect doesn't understand when they're reading it that this is probably coming from a realtor or a real estate company or somebody. It's paid. They get that. But by that point, they're already reading about all of the very beneficial information that's being offered here. So it's not that people are stupid and they don't understand that this is very likely, being paid for, coming from somewhere. But by that time, they're already reading about this very beneficial information, and they're discovering that they can request this information in a very risk-free, non-threatening, and free way. And that's why they work. So the fact that it says paid advertisement on the bottom, it's not really what's grabbing attention. Certainly the headline is what grabs a lot more attention than that does. If it were not there, would it generate more response? Perhaps it would. But you can see that even with paid advertisement, we still generate leads from these ads every day. All right.
Excuse me. Ad number 3, I need to flip that around, but we have Tony, and he wants to get online and ask you a question about this. Or are you ready to take an audio question about this ad? Okay.
Of course.
Tony, your mic is open.
Hi, James. Can you hear me?
Hey, Tony. How you doing?
Good, buddy. You?
Excellent.
That's good. James had a question. These editorials, they run very well for us. We do get, on average, 18 to 22 leads every time we run it. And we run it once a month. And the nice thing is we get about 60% of the people on the phone. So we're not playing chase or catch up most of the time. Of the people that we are getting on the phone, maybe one person, sometimes less than one person, but usually we get one person that's ready to act immediately, but most of the people are looking for, springtime or way beyond. And I'm talking like, 3-4 years out. And I'm wondering what can I do to better the ad to get more now business, to make it more appealing to the person who's ready to act immediately?
Okay. Well, first of all, what you can test is including this season. Like, for example, if you were to run this ad to say, how to sell mistakes to avoid when selling your Cambridge home this fall.
Okay.
That would attract people looking in the fall. If you said, avoid these mistakes when selling your Cambridge home in the new year, you will get prospects that are more likely to look in the new year. But I want to back up and I want to stop here, because here's what I'm going to suggest. You're still going to get the same prospects. Okay, you might get some others, but you're still going to get the same prospects. Here's the key to following up with these editorial ads. You've got to understand that the key to determining the motivation of the prospect is by finding out where they're going. All of your questions should be centered around where they're moving to. That is what is going to shed insight as to when they're selling. See, this editorial ad is about selling their home. So we ask questions about them selling their home. But the truth is, what we really want to figure out is, have they started looking? Are you staying in the area? Are you moving out of the area? Have you started looking? The insight as to when they're going to be selling their home is by finding out where they're going. And here's what I will tell you you're going to find. That these prospects, although they're not looking to sell their home, a good percentage of them have already started looking around. They're not buying anything right now, but they've started looking around. The way to convert these prospects is not as sellers. You're not booking listing appointments with the majority of these prospects. You're not. They're way down the road for when they're going to list their home. But some of them, it's absolutely appropriate to get them signed to a buyer contract because they are looking.
Okay.
Okay, so those are the questions that we need to find out is, have you started looking for your next property? You're staying locally in the area. Are you looking around? And what you're going to find is that, a percentage of them, maybe it's a third or more, are going to say, yeah, we know what we're looking for. We're looking around. We're not going to buy anything until the new year. We're not going to buy anything until a few months. We're just looking around. Okay, if someone's looking right now, here's my question. Could you help them look?
Yes.
Yes, so here's what I say. You know what? I can email you every day all of the properties that come on the market in the Cambridge area that perfectly match what you're looking for, just to make your search easier. But more importantly, what I'll also do is I'll include all of the private listings, the ones that haven't hit the market yet, the pocket listings, the great deals. As long as they match what you and your family are looking for, I'll just make sure they arrive in your email inbox so you know about them quickly. And what I can also do is take a look at your property just to give you a preliminary evaluation on what you can do to make your home worth more money. There are tips, things that you can do and not do that are going to increase the value of your property while you're in this long process of preparing your home for sale eventually. We can maximize the dollar amount that you'll get for your home if I can take a quick look at it. It's absolutely free. There's no obligation whatsoever, and I'm flexible. When would be a good time for you? Days, evenings, something this weekend perhaps, Tony? What would be good?
Okay,
so I'm not going to, you're not giving them a listing presentation, nor are you going to give them a price on their property. You're going to point out some helpful tips, but the purpose of your appointment is what? If they're looking for a property, even if they're not buying something right now, if they're looking, you can get them signed to a buyer agency contract. It doesn't require them to buy. It doesn't cost them any money. It's a 12-month agreement, and it means that they now have a representative to help them find what they're looking for, so that when they're ready, they've got a representative, and it's free.
Right.
And so here's what happens. With these editorial ads, what starts to happen with these leads that you're generating every month is that 4, 5, 6 of them are signed to buyer contracts. Okay, now here's what happens. You've got all of these clients that are all signed to buyer contracts, and you start to gain critical mass. By the time early spring arrives, all of a sudden, they're starting to come to fruition. And you've got all of these buyers signed contracts that are now ready to buy, and every single one of them have a home to sell.
Yeah.
That's how this worked for Craig for all of those years. We ran editorial ads 2 or 3 times a week, every single week. And we know that the prospects aren't listing their homes. I mean, it happens from time to time, but that's not what these prospects are. These are prospects that are very early in the process. And what most of them are going to do is they're going to look around first before they sell their present home. So that's the way to convert these prospects. And when we build critical mass of all of these prospects, they all have homes to sell, and they're all looking to buy, and we've got them signed to buyer contracts. We gain that critical mass, and all of a sudden it's February, March, April, and they're all buying and they're all selling. And you're damn thankful that you ran the ads back in November, December, January.
Right. Okay. I like that. Okay.
Okay. So
Perfect.
two things, just to recap. 2 things. Number 1 is how we follow up with these prospects. Changing your mindset a little bit to focus far more on the buy side than the sell side. That's how you're going to gain insight into their motivation. And then number 2, let's change the message and let's test a different message that says something like, avoid these critical mistakes when selling your Cambridge home this winter.
Yes. Okay.
Like, people will be selling their home this winter. There's no question. There will be homes on the market this winter. So if they see that, they're far more likely to respond. But I'm just telling you, you're still going to get the prospects that would have responded to this ad. They'll still respond to that other ad as well.
Of course. Okay.
That's just how it works.
Perfect. James, one more thing. Is there a different variation of this headline here too? Because obviously, we have to live by the same rules that you guys did in Newmarket and Waterloo. With respect to expireds and things like that. Yeah. There's only one variation of, there's only one headline, I think, on the coaching side.
No, I think the other one is this. It says, sometimes even the best Cambridge homes don't sell.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so write that down. The headline says something along the lines of, sometimes even the best homes don't sell.
Okay.
So you're going to just customize that to, sometimes even the best Cambridge homes don't sell.
Got it. I like that.
Now, we're not running that ad because we think that it's going to attract all the expireds. That's not the purpose of it. But if you're considering selling your home and you read, sometimes great homes don't sell, you're going to go, what the hell? What are you talking about? and you're going to read that article.
Yeah, that's powerful because everybody in our area seems to think that their house is going to sell overnight, and this, it creates a doubt, and I like that.
Exactly right. That's exactly right.
Perfect.
So,
Well,
yeah, you can test that one as well.
Perfect.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks so much, Tony. Always appreciate your input.
Awesome. Thanks, dude.
Okay, hold on one second, and we will move on to ad number 4. Now, as of right now, I don't have any information about what this is or where it will be run. I'm looking in the chats now to make sure I haven't missed anything.
Awesome home for sale, John Brackett. Well, I hope, maybe this is like one of those bandit signs.
House sign.
But
Michael Garcia is saying it's a house sign.
Okay, well, I don't really like the call to action all that much. Like, we need to have some additional information here. Like, we should offer 24-hour recorded information. You should have a sign rider on here that says open daily, call for times. You might want to have a performance guarantee. Move up to this home and I'll guarantee the sale of yours. But this is basically a pretty standard, no benefit. And also, what if it isn't an awesome home? That's something that Craig mentioned last week. Awesome home for sale. That's really not universal. So I don't see what sets this apart. In other words, if I live in the neighborhood and I find out tomorrow that I'm being transferred, I'm like, holy crap, I'm being transferred. I got to sell my home, and in the next 90 to 120 days, I'm moving. Oh, my God. And now, all of a sudden, my reticular activator causes me to notice other homes in my neighborhood that are for sale. And that's how this works. So I look and I see other for sale signs, and they're all the same. They're really all the same, including this one. What I want to see is I want to see one that's different and offers me enough benefits that I say, well, heck, I'd rather have that for sale sign. Given the option, that for sale sign to me looks like it offers a lot more benefits to buyers. That's the idea of the for sale sign. So we can use it as a marketing tool to generate more listings in the area. So having sign riders that say, 24-hour recorded information, or open daily, call for times, or move up to this home and I'll guarantee the sale of yours. You must understand that other sellers that are considering selling see that as being different and beneficial, whereas all of the other for sale signs are seemingly identical. And unfortunately, this probably falls into that category. So I would consider some of those things, John, and I know that there are examples on the coaching site of some pretty good signage. So
John has, he did confirm, he says there's going to be a 24-hour recording. Awesome. And below, and then open house on top. And Excellent. Then he
That'll
says,
make a difference.
What is universal versus awesome home for sale?
Well, and that's just it, is can we really be universal? All right. What can be universal is that you're offering 24-hour information on this property for sale. That's universal. Every single property, you can offer that information. You can offer open daily, call for times. That's universal. Every property, we could apply that to. But to say it's awesome, I don't know. Maybe that's not universal. But maybe awesome is in the eye of the beholder. Maybe awesome means the price. Right? So I don't know. I might backtrack on saying that awesome isn't universal. Maybe it is universal because it's in the eye of the beholder. But let's be more concrete as to what we can offer that everyone would see as a benefit. That would be what you're going to be doing here. The 24-hour recorded info on the property, that is universally beneficial to the sellers and to the buyers. And open daily, call for times is universally beneficial to everybody. So those are the kinds of more concrete things that would set you apart. I don't think that another prospective seller in the neighborhood would say, well, all of the for sale signs say for sale, but this one says awesome home for sale. I'm not sure that they might see that as the reason why they would say, well, I need my for sale sign to say awesome on it. I think they probably would be more compelled by more concrete reasons, like the two that you've selected, John, the 24-hour talking recorded info and the open daily. So
we actually have John. He wants to ask you a question. So John, sure. I've opened your line. Go ahead.
Hey James, how are you?
Hey John, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing awesome. Hey, I really appreciate the detailed feedback. And so my question is this. You know, I do appreciate the comments about the universal, I guess the universal call to action. So yes, this sign up on the bottom will be the 24-hour
perfect
recorded message, which has been activated, and then at top will be the open house.
Yep, open daily call for times.
Exactly. Now here's the thing. The reason why I'm kind of bullish on these signs now is all the properties that I have under construction, I put every single one of them into escrow off of signs.
Yeah.
And so I'm just trying to tweak this a little bit. Now, I think Awesome Home for Sale works for a brand new house, but what would be universal?
Well, I mean, I kind of think the more I kind of talk it out, the more I kind of arrive at the conclusion that, wait a minute, if a home isn't awesome looking, but I can get that property for what I consider to be a great deal, can I say that that's an awesome home? Right? Like, what does awesome mean? Does it mean the price is awesome? Does it mean the property's awesome? What does awesome mean? And I promise you that whatever the home is, Bill Gates wouldn't say it's awesome. Right? So no matter what, it's in the eye of the beholder. So you know what? I wouldn't mess with what's working. And what's more important is this. Those add-ons are what is going to set your sign apart. The add-ons are what is going to compel prospects, both buyers and sellers, to respond. And when you've got properties that are selling and now you're able to put a sold sign here, don't think that other prospective sellers in the neighborhood or in the area don't notice that. The ones that aren't thinking of selling, they don't notice. They would never notice that. But the ones that are considering selling, they're noticing.
Right now.
And here's the thing. They're going to attribute that you sold the property. They're going to attribute it to those add-ons. Even if it didn't come from that, that's what they're going to attribute it to.
Yeah. Now here's something else. Maybe you can help me with this. Is one of the things that we were debating, instead of putting bracket team there, where that domain name is, we were considering using one of our domains, and it's zerodownpaymentprogram.com versus the bracket team. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts are then what that denotes is that the only reason you're going there is because you're interested in zero down, but that's not true. So that would I just think that would disqualify too much of the audience.
Okay.
If you're going to use a domain name that's descriptive, it should be all encompassing about arearealestateinfo.com, something like that.
Got it.
But I think the bracket team, the only problem with the bracket team is I can imagine people would misspell that. Because there's like 2,000 T's in it. Yeah, no,
it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be, the B.
Hey, I got an idea. Why don't you do this? See if you can do this. Teambracket.com.
Okay.
Okay, and I want you to see if you can register bracket with one T and with two T's.
I've already.
That way, if they screw it up, it still goes to the same place. You understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
Okay, so your domain name is www.teambracket.com, and it doesn't matter how they spell bracket. If you've got them both, it's going to go to the same place. So hopefully you can do that.
Okay, great feedback. Thanks so much, James. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Okay, hold on just one moment. Okay, so ad number 5 and 6 must be the sign writers from John.
Yep. All right, good.
Okay, perfect.
Let's keep going.
Ad number 7, direct mail.
Or as Craig likes to say, ad number next.
Ad number next.
Okay, your home may be worth more than you think. For a free quick online home evaluation, www. I like that, but I'd like for a free quick home evaluation to be more visible and less of an afterthought. So right now, the message is your home may be worth more than you think, and that's a great. I mean, that really does grab attention. But the for a free quick online home evaluation, that also needs to stand out much more than it does. That's the call to action. That's what's being offered. Okay, so my home is worth more than I think. Let's make that stand out a little bit more. But yeah, this is a great message. And you're going to have a domain name, and the domain name is going to describe the area that this is being offered, and it's going to describe home evaluation. All right, so if this was Richmond Hill, it would say www.richmondhillhomevalue.com, something like that. Okay, good job. Let's keep going.
Okay, hold on just one second. Sorry for the delay. Looks like another sign writer.
All right. Evergreen Realty, Carol New Team. Buy this home and we'll buy yours. For 24/7 recorded info, call. Yeah, this is really good. See, and this is a great example of how, I mean, if all for sale signs are identical and you're considering selling your home and you see this one, you can't say that this is the same as all of the others. And people will attribute that benefit to the success of the home selling. So when this home sells, other prospective sellers will attribute that sale to this, regardless of whether it had anything to do with it or not. So I would add, just as we discussed earlier, I would add the sign writer that says open daily, call for times. And anything that we can add to this that is unique, that sets it apart, it's going to help it work better and better and better. And not only that, but it means all of this you can use in your listing presentation, right? When you have that sign writer that says open daily, call for times, or 24-hour recorded info, all right, in your listing presentation, you're using this to set you apart. You're going to show them this is what a traditional for sale sign looks like in your neighborhood. It says home for sale, call me, I'm a salesperson. Here's what mine look like. This is why I generate 10 to 1 more buyers on your property than the traditional method. It's because these are the things that I do. Let me show you. Right? Your sign is a part of your listing presentation. It's a unique selling proposition in your listing presentation. All right, let's keep going. Good job, Carol. All right, so this is Carol again. Your home sold guaranteed or will buy it for cash. I'm not sure what this is or where it ran as a headline. To discuss the sale of your home, call us at and start packing. Get a free report that details the inner workings of this exclusive offer. So really that needs to come first, okay? So if you're going to say your home sold guaranteed or we'll buy it for cash, then immediately after that you need to have the call to action for that program, all right? So immediately under that it should say get a free report that details the inner workings of this exclusive offer. Or, you know, even have it say for details on this unique offer, visit. Just keep it simple. For full details on this unique offer, visit www.newguaranteedsale.com. And but again, I'm not sure where this ad is running or what this is. If it's direct mail, my fear is that when prospects are sorting their mail over the recycling bin, they're just going to look at the picture of the salesperson. It may not get much traction because that headline is not big and bold enough. It doesn't stand out nearly as much as you'd like it to. So I might consider changing the size and the style of that headline to make sure that if I said to you, I'm only going to look at this message for 1 second, what would you like me to look at? You would say, well, I guess I'd like you to look at your home sold guaranteed or we'll buy it for cash. Okay, well then, how do you make me look at that in my split second of glancing at it? How do you make sure that that's what I look at? And you'd say, well, I suppose I'd have to make it bigger. Yep, you'd have to make it bigger. You'd have to make it easier to read. You might have to change the coloring so that white on black, and then underneath the green, that stands out more than the headline does. So you'd probably rework this message a little bit. Andrea, go ahead. Were you going to add something there, Andrea, or was there a...
I'm sorry, my mic was not working. Yes, Carol has raised her hand, and I thought maybe we can get a little clarification from her in order to critique this properly to what it's supposed to be.
Okay.
Carol, you're muted on your end. If you just unmute, or if you can hear me, just type in what this is exactly to make sure we know. And Carol is still muted on her end, so I'll go ahead and mute her line back. Carol, just type in, and we can always come back once we found out what this type of marketing is. And it's a business card.
All right.
And here's the back of it.
Okay. Okay, so same thing. I still say the same thing about this. You know, one of the things that we talked about in terms of your business card was that a lot of times when somebody takes your business card, or when you're giving someone your business card, it's someone you've met. So it's not so much a lead generator, but you're giving it to someone that you've already met. So you've already identified that person, that prospect, client, whatever. And Craig made a great point a few weeks ago. That's so true. And it was that we tend to make little notes on the back of the card. So, and is that true? Do you do that? I mean, does the prospect they might make a little note on the back of your card that says 123 Maple Street, like this is where I met this agent, etc. Or some kind of little note that you make or they make. It's not uncommon. That happens all the time. So by not having anywhere on your card where you can make a little handwritten personalized message or note, is that maybe a bad thing? That's something to consider here. And maybe you want to leave a little space where you could jot down on the back, you know, some notes, right? Leave a little space for that. But your idea here is correct in making sure that you're not considered the same as all of the other seemingly identical business cards, whereas yours has reasons to do business with you. And of course, you've got several of them here. Buy any of our listings, and if you are not satisfied in 18 months, we'll buy it back for cash. That's awesome. You know, you're making sure that all of the benefits and advantages of working with you are present on your business card, and in everything that you do that promotes you, you are associated with these very valuable offers, unique offers that you are making. So I would just make sure it's more visible, more readable, and also, I like the idea of on the other side, having an area on the other side where you can write a personalized note to somebody that you met and you're giving them your card. Because you know you do that, and now you can't, right? You can't do that with this card. So is that a disadvantage? I think to an extent it is. All right, let's keep going, Andrea. And by the way, I mean, I just have to tell everybody, you guys would agree Craig Proctor did a pretty good job of selling real estate. You know, probably did, I don't know, thousands, 10,000 sales. His backside of his business card was blank. Nothing, blank. It was white. And that worked pretty well. Now, the front side of the business card had, you know, your home sold guaranteed or I'll buy it for cash. So we definitely promoted the guaranteed sale program on the card. So I want everybody to know that. All right, so here's another Facebook ad, Andrea, and this comes from Real Estate in Downey. All right, so this is a more specific area. Now, I want everybody to see the difference here. This says free hot list of foreclosures and distress sales in Downey with pictures and addresses. And you've got a map of Downey with a couple of pin dropped here. I might suggest a few more than, what do you got, 7? 5, 6, 7, 8. You might want to drop a few more pins in the map just to make it look a little more representative. But the bottom line is this: it's a map of Downey, which makes sense because you're offering a hot list of distress sales in Downey. So this would be a good ad, and the domain name is downeyfreehomehelp.com. Downeyfreehomehelp.com. I'm going to suggest that with a domain name like that, I'm worried that that's going to take us to the homepage because it's not specific to distress sales. It's not specific to foreclosures, distress sales in Downey. It says downeyfreehomehelp.com. And that's a little bit more generic. So my fear is that domain name wouldn't go to the distress sale page, and it should. Now, maybe I'm wrong, and if I am, then I would like you to change that domain name to make it more descriptive of distress sales in Downey. And this ad went to, it looks like 6.5 million. That's a lot of people.
Yes, that is exactly what it says. That is a lot.
That is a lot. Potential audience for this ad. That seems odd because Downey, so it must have gone out to all of greater Los Angeles area. Downey is part of Los Angeles. That would be the only thing that makes sense. So maybe you want to reel that in a little bit to a smaller area than all of Los Angeles, possibly. And age 25 to 65, you might want to up that age a little bit. You could do that. I mean, but if you knew that you'd get a lot more bang for your buck if you started at 30, you can judge that on the response, but I'll let you test that. Anyway, so a couple little things you can test there, but all in all, this is a good start. And it comes from Real Estate in Downey, not Joe Realtor salesperson. Let's keep going here, Andrea.
Okay, and while I'm going to the next ad, we had one of our members asking about how to do the pin drop, and you and I went over that in very good detail. I believe it was 2 ad clinics ago that we did that. Is that right, James?
Correct. Yeah, not last Friday, but the Friday before.
Okay.
We did that. So if you go back in the archives and you watch that webinar, you'll see us demonstrate using Google Maps how easy it is to create your own map. And once you create your own map, you can drop all the pins you want to into it. All right, and here's another one. Learn how to stop paying rent and start owning a home today. Now, here's the thing with this ad. What you're offering is a free report, like how to start owning, as opposed to this is a free list of first-time buyer properties that carry for less than rent. That might be a better offer. I would test it. All right, so instead of saying learn how to stop paying rent and own your own home, how about this? Stop paying rent and pay less per month on these great properties in Downey. Offering properties that carry for less than rent. Free hot list of homes that carry for less than rent. That would be a more compelling offer, perhaps. That's something you can test. Okay, let's keep going. Keep going.
Do you want me to just keep going past that? Okay.
Yeah, no more. Yeah, we've killed the Facebook stuff, so that's good.
Okay. Ad number 19 and 20 are going to go on the top of Papa John pizza boxes.
Oh, that's cute. Home seller mistakes. Free report reveals nine costly mistakes to avoid before selling your home. That's a pretty cool idea, Ira. I hope the price is right. But yeah, that's good. And all you're going to do is you're just going to experiment with some different offers. And what you might even want to experiment with as well is doing some branded advertising on it as well. Test offering your USP.
That'd be ad number 20.
Whatever performance guarantee you're doing. Okay. So ad number 20 is also okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great example. Yeah, your home sold guaranteed. I'll pay or in 120 days. I'll pay you $2,000 cash. Great idea. I like it. I do. I like the idea of that. And as long as the price is right and it's something that is easily tested, and one of these offers you're going to hit on and you're going to generate some response from it, you just do it forever. which is, it's kind of like another example of it's kind of like a combination of outdoor advertising, you know, like a bus bench or shopping cart, and direct mail, because it's actually going directly into people's homes. So yeah, as long as the price is right, anything that we generate from it that returns us any kind of return on investment will more than pay for doing it forever. So I like what you're doing here. Okay, so it says need to sell your house in the GTA. That's not the headline. The headline is the benefit, and the benefit is I'll sell your house in 21 days or I'll sell it for free. And you're going to make that the headline overwhelmingly, and what it's going to say is this: your GTA home sold in less than 21 days guaranteed, or I'll sell it for free. And you're going to take away what are you waiting for? You're going to take that away. That's fluffery. All right? And that is what it's going to say. It's going to say, your, not I, you. You is more powerful than I. Your GTA home sold in less than 21 days guaranteed, or I'll sell it for free. All right, that's your headline. And then on the other side, it says, need home in GTA. I'll save you $10,000 off your home purchase, guaranteed, or I'll give you $1,000 at closing. Okay, so the headline is going to be $10,000 off your GTA home purchase, guaranteed. That's your headline. $10,000 savings on your GTA home purchase, guaranteed, or I'll give you $1,000 at closing. Again, that's a pretty bold offer. You're able to do that in the GTA is a pretty bold offer, $10,000 savings. But I guess it would depend on your area. You're 905, that's Richmond Hill. That's pretty bold, I'll tell you that. But that's the idea. You do want to be pretty bold. So
I'd like to make a suggestion, just that I noticed the URL, I don't know if it's a typo or if they meant to do this, but the grammar's off. It says find you home in GTA. So I don't know if that is an actual typo, and it should say your.
Yeah, and that's exactly, I mean, that's true. And even the headline where it says need home in GTA, it sounds like Caveman Realty. Need home in GTA. It doesn't really make grammatical sense, so I just scrap it. Like need to sell house in GTA is not the way you would speak to somebody. So just get rid of those two altogether. And you're right, Andrea, that domain name really makes no grammatical sense. So the call to action should be clearer and should explain why you're doing.
Our member's saying it is a error. It should say find your home in GTA. So.
All right, well, that's better.
Yes.
And I would have that more as part of the offer, right? So, but here's my suspicion. If I reply to this ad that says I'll sell your house in 21 days or I'll sell it for free, when I go to find your home in GTA, it's going to take me to the home page. It's not going to take me to the USP. I bet you that's true, isn't it? And I know that because on both offers, it's the same domain name. And you can't do it that way. You need to have a specific domain name, a specific call to action for each offer. Okay, let's keep going, Andrea.
And while I'm pulling up the next one, we have a couple of members curious how Ira got Papa John's to agree or how that deal came about. So Ira, if you're on, just type in and then we can share that information.
What's your secret? And is it printed right on the box, or is it like a sticky note? You know, like you can do that. It could be like a sticky note, which I think would be even better.
Well, I know that my Papa John's and even my Domino's, it's like a flyer, and they just stick it on there, and then the flyer has some couponed advertisements. He says it's a flyer on the box.
Right, so is it like taped on the box? It's like a sticky note?
Normally they have like this, I don't know what kind of material it is, but it's just something it sticks on the back of it, and then it just makes it sticky so it doesn't come off. Okay.
I wouldn't know. I don't eat pizza, of course, Andrea. Put pizza in this temple. It would be crazy to do that.
That's
I'm
all I
kidding.
eat.
I eat pizza every second night.
Yeah.
Sometimes for breakfast. Okay, but anyway, we're not talking about that, are we? All right, so what have we got here? This is a distressed sale homes, Orange County bank foreclosures. Receive a free list with pictures of foreclosure properties, free recorded message. Okay, so OC foreclosure info. We were talking about this earlier. Orange County is a big place. That's a huge, huge audience. So I guess this would have to run in a newspaper that, like the Orange County Register, that covers all of Orange County for this to really be effective. So I'd be curious about that. But the ad itself is very compelling. I know it's a nitpicky thing, but I would have it say 24-hour free recorded message. Other than just free recorded message. Have to say 24 hours. Let everybody know you can respond to this immediately at any point in time. And that way the impression has to be clear that they are not going to speak to anyone to request this information. And it's in print, so we've included both a hotline and www.ocforeclosureinfo.com. But again, this is a huge, huge area, so we're really being broad here. So I hope we're not wasting money attracting a larger audience than we need to. But if this is an ad that, say, runs in an all-encompassing Orange County publication, then it would make more sense.
And one thing that you and I had discussed before we got started today is it really helps when we see our marketing in context. We can really get a better idea of how it might work for you and what changes could be made in placement and how the ad actually looks.
Right.
Ira, just really quickly, he said the representative from Papa John's came to his office and offered it. And I think that's pretty darn awesome.
Wow, that's amazing.
Okay, we're at our final ad submission.
Okay, so we've got some notes here, it looks like. I have a qualified buyer interested in your home. Call me directly.
Okay,
Thanks.
and these aren't notes for us, and I was very confused. It looks like this is how the prospect would see it.
And where are they seeing this?
I don't know how it's delivered.
I would need more information. Your home sold in under 60 days guaranteed, or I'll sell it for free. To hear more about my offer, listen to my free recorded message here. And this is on what looks like a listing. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the strategy is.
A lot of the URLs on top, it's very small, but it says Zillow. So I don't know much about Zillow and how it works, but maybe this is what they see on Zillow. Okay, it's my ad, but it's a Zillow flyer that mails out to the expireds.
Okay, that makes tons of sense. Okay, so this home expired, and this is what the listing looked like when it was available. And so we printed that, and you included some handwritten notes here full of unique selling propositions. Really super cool idea. As long as it's delivered to them, I would say put it in a plain white number 10 handwritten envelope to make sure it gets opened. But if this gets opened and they're remotely, still considering, getting their home sold, this would be pretty compelling. This would be pretty compelling, I have to say. I like this, and I'd be curious to find out, is it Michael that's running this or Michelle?
Well, actually, they corrected me. I don't know whose ad this is. Janice says it was a typo. It's not her ad, but she's seen it in the coaching book, and that's how she knew what it was. But Michelle, she was referring to...
Well, I will say this. I like it, but at best, just understand, at best, this is a supplement to your lead generation. All right? This is going to depend on how many expireds there are, first of all, right? And it's also going to depend on its effectiveness as to whether or not it's something that can be duplicated. But the idea as it stands and what you're doing here, here's what we want to ask ourselves. When a property comes off the market, are other realtors also trying to solicit that listing? And the answer is yeah, of course they are. So how do we set ourselves apart? How do we say, no, wait, we're different though? It's very, very difficult to do that, and I think it's being accomplished here. So this is a great idea. You know, and how about this? Instead of saying, I have a qualified buyer interested in your home, what if you said this? I'm currently working with 212 qualified buyers. Instead of I have a qualified buyer for your home. You know, and you're referring, of course, to your buyers in waiting, to all of the buyers that you're generating through your website and your hotline. That's something that you could do a little bit different. But the bottom line is this different from what all of the other realtors that are trying to go after the expireds are doing? And I say, yeah, this is different. So this is a good idea. Now, its effectiveness will probably translate into, you know, marginally helping your business. It's definitely a supplement at best to your lead generation. This is definitely not a cornerstone of where your business is going to come from, but it's a great add-on. Monday is our internet helpline session. Is that correct, Andrea?
That is correct.
Excellent. Okay, so just bear this in mind. All of your internet-related questions are going to be answered on Monday. And then, of course, next week, Thursday is our role play session. Friday is our ad clinic. But, of course, I know a lot of you, particularly West Coast, are coming to the Platinum event in San Francisco. So we will see you there. I'll be there. Make sure you come and say hello to me. I always like that. And I want to make sure everyone has a wonderful weekend. Andrea, that including and especially means you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we will hear from everybody on Monday. And thanks so much, everybody, for sending in your ads. Anyone that has questions as well, we've got those captured in the chat. And as Andrea said yesterday, make sure that in addition to asking your questions to us, you're also getting your coach's feedback on everything that you're doing as well. It's super important.
Yes, yes, it is.
All right. So that's it. That concludes our webinar here today. Andrea, thanks so much for your help, and thanks to everyone who participated and submitted ads.
Thank you, James. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Have a wonderful weekend, and talk to you all Monday morning.